Welcome to JFix and a new video, and in today's video I have a digital microscope to review from LINKMICRO. So let's get straight into it. So yeah, here we go on the desk. We have the LINKMICRO LM246S. So if you're watching this review because you're thinking about getting this microscope, I'll show you all the features and we'll go through a little bit of an unboxing experience on here. They've sent me this free of charge, which is great because it also means I can give this away to somebody, and there's already somebody in the community who would benefit from this, so I've promised I will send them this microscope to help them out after this review. But yeah, they're not paying me to do this review, they've sent it free of charge, so we can give an honest opinion and I can compare it to my existing microscope and we'll be able to see if it's any good. So it is a more budget option, so if the wallet is a bit tight, then maybe this is a good option as a digital microscope. And it looks like quite a nice compact option as well, similar to another microscope that I've reviewed on the channel. But we'll see. Let's go through this unboxing experience together, and if you just want to see the features and how it works, you can skip past the unboxing. But I'm interested in how it's been packaged and if it's held up through shipping. So in we go then. So as we unbox it, we have a lid on here. Looks quite well protected. This is the first time I've unboxed this, so hopefully everything's going to be good. Just going to turn off the autofocus. Here we go. So we have the microscope. It looks like there's two different varieties on here, a 246S and a 249S, and ours is the 246S. So it might be to do with the stand that makes a difference on there. We do have some instructions and then the microscope itself. Right, let me try and put these things out the way. And here is the microscope. It's got a protective film on there at the moment. We'll peel that off in a moment. Actually looks like a double film. Display is very fragile, okay. And the microscope's folded back on itself like this. So I assume it's going to go like that. Yep. Right, now as I'm unboxing this, I can tell you that this microscope has got an interesting feature that I haven't seen in any of the other microscopes I've used so far. So we'll get to that in a little while. But you're going to get an assortment of cables. Right, it looks like a HDMI to mini HDMI, which seems to be pretty standard with these types of microscopes. This seems to be the control cable. So we've got a power and a brightness up and down, and it looks like three different connectors on here: a USB-C, a USB-A, and a little like DC barrel jack. A remote control, that's nice. And we do have a USB, probably 2 amp is it? Yeah, 5 volts 2 amp charger. We've got a little dish in here, and looks like we've got some samples in here with some little tweezers and a little grip for these plates. Okay, some thumb screws. Have to remember how all this went back together. Okay, let me leave that one for a minute. We have a little light box, and I think we're going to need to remove this to get to the base. Oh, I can see we've got a memory card included as well, 32 gigabytes, so that's nice. And we've got the base plate. It's quite a nice weight to that. And here we go, little gooseneck lights. These lights make a huge difference to what you're working on, these type of lights, especially coming from an angle that I've learnt from the previous ones that I've done. Another USB cable, USB A to C, and this looks like the stand. And yeah, let me show you this now, because this is the feature I've not seen before. It's got more than one lens that comes with it. You've got this lens and this lens, so I think that's to do with the working distance and how zoomed in you're going to be, so that'll be interesting to try those. In fact, there might actually be 3 lenses, one's already on there. Yeah, we'll get into that in a bit. Right, should we set this up together? I have also found one more piece, which was this bar. That was hidden in the bottom of the box. So without even reading the instructions, this should be straightforward. We clamp that on there, and then our microscope mount. Are we going to want it that way or that way? No, it's going to be this way. So this one on the bar here is going to set our height, and then we can lock it down here. And I believe if I open this thumb screw, we can bring this in and out. So we've got a couple of levels adjustment there. Let's open these thumb screws. And they do have a little bit of rubber on the end of them, so they shouldn't mar the plastic here. This is quite lightweight, not much weight to it at all. And that's not going to fit in at the moment with these, so I'm guessing these thumb screws have to come out first before that will slot in. Okay, so with those thumb screws out, that's actually the removable lens, it looks like, in here. So that must be how you change them. Okay, right, let's have a look at the lenses and decide which one we're going to use here. So our lens choices we have is the biggest one. This is the L, and that's object distance 90 to 300 millimeters. So does that mean that's going to give us more working distance? Because we've got object D. Object distance D is 4 millimeters to 5 millimeters, and object distance A is 12 millimeters to 320 millimeters. So let's try the bigger one and see what we get. So mostly interested on working on a laptop board, so something like that, or a games console. Here we go, we're set up, and it's quite a nice compact unit. All seems very well made, to be honest with you. If I look at the back of the monitor in here, we've got some I/O up here. We've got a USB-C power input, we've got the micro HDMI, the smaller one, and the slot for the memory card. Once the microscope's mounted into this arm, you can tilt the screen back as well to get a nice viewing angle to how you want it. So as we're on the desk there, let's rotate it straight, and they can go like that. So I'm kind of looking directly down at the screen as I'd want to be looking now. At the bottom here, that's where the little DC jack goes in here, obviously to power those goose lights. Let me get this wired up then, and we'll have a proper go. I'm actually looking forward to turning this on and seeing what the quality is like. Right, we're set. So DC jack, powering our little lights at the bottom, remote control, you can sit off to the side as we're using it, and then we've got USB-C power to power the microscope. So they're quite short, which is what you want, and this one's a lovely long one. So that's going to reach over to wherever you want to power it from. We've got this here. Should we try that? Make sure it works. Right, that's plugged in now. We're plugged in, and I've got my little clicker to the side here. Okay, let's peel this off and we can power on together. Nice. Power switch is on. Oh, we're away. Okay, we're on. You can't see that. Let me get this around, but our lights are on. They're shining nice and bright. You can see that there, shining on my hand. And the second one, yeah, they're really nice and bright. What I'm going to do is hook this up to my computer so you can actually see the display. But at the moment we're not getting any image on there, so what do we need to do? Do we need to go? Oh, we are getting an image. I think it needs focusing in. Let me just right, okay, it is working, but that's kind of like so zoomed in. You can't work like that, so I don't think that lens is going to be suitable. Let me just try the other ones, one of the other lenses, to find the right one. Okay, we're set up. I've had a little play around, and the lens that works the best is the A for the kind of distance that I'd want to be soldering at, with enough working distance underneath the microscope to the base. The A seems to work quite well, and I'm upset already because this seems better than my microscope. I think these lights are really helping. I need to definitely get some lights for my microscope. Let me show you connected to the computer, because you can't really see while I'm working like this. I'll hook up the HDMI and you can see this image in all of its glory, and you can tell me what you think. Yeah, so here we have it. Now you should be able to see the microscope live. We're working on the HDMI output and I'm really impressed. It's a nice clear picture. Now, first thing I've noticed, kind of a little annoying, is that because it is like a one-to-one of what you're seeing on the screen, you also see up in the corner here, let me just disable my face camera, you can see like the numbers and the recording icon. It's not a big deal, but I mean, because I'm doing a YouTube video, I prefer not to have that being shown in the corner. You might be able to disable that in the options though, we can check. But yeah, here it is, and let me move it around. Let's see what the refresh rate is like, because this should be 60 FPS. So hopefully as you're scanning around the board, it's going to be quite quick. Let me flip this over and you can see on here. So the focus itself is good as well. It really, like, as you see, you can go really quick to try and get your focus in, and then you can go slowly just to dial it in perfectly how you want it. Seems to work well. Now the goose lights on the side, I can, you know, move them back and forward and try to get them in the right position. But let me try a bigger board. In fact, this is the laptop Lenovo board that I was working on in the last video, so let me have a look where I was working last time. And I was working up here around this TPS chip. So how does that look as I'm scanning around the board? Here we can see the board number, and it all looks very nice. There was the chip that I soldered last time over here, and I've set the microscope quite high, and if I wind it down we can get in for a slightly closer look here, and then obviously we'll have to refocus. Refocusing's quite quick. Now, just in case you were watching the last video where I had a look at this board, if you want a sneak peek while we're under the microscope of our issue, let me focus back in. So yeah, this component had drifted off, which I thought was strange. So I did have a look around the board, and here we go. Here's our embedded controller. On this microscope, it does look like the text is quite nice, because the light isn't coming directly down, because it's coming from the side. If you have that light directly down, it kind of whites out your chip and you can't see what the text is. That's the problem I have with my microscope, and why I don't like that ring light that comes with it. But as you move and have your lights coming at an angle, it does make the text legible on the chip. That's why I do like these little side lights. But yeah, here's a sneak peek of what's coming up on part 2. Yeah, what do you think about this? It's not only that component, but I've got other components that are drifted on here. Like this looks like a diode. It's basically off the pad here. And this looks like a little BGA chip. Should be sat in the white box. Let's go with the microscope. Go further down. See if we can zoom in. Yeah. So those balls are not even touching. Where's the zoom? Here. Yeah, you can see, look, it's sitting completely off the pad. So yeah, that's a little sneak peek while we've got this board at the next video. Let me see if I can move the microscope up, and let's see how it does inspecting like in a USB port. See if it's got enough light to do that. Right, here we go. I've got a USB-C port here. So let's see how this will do. Yeah, that's a nice inspection. Let's flip the board around. You can see every pin in there, the light's shining into them. Again, let's check the USB-A port. Check the other side. Oh yeah, that's a lovely clear image. I'm really impressed with that. What do you think? One thing we can have a play with is this plus and minus on the little controller for the lights. Let's see if we can turn the lights down, and let's turn them up. Okay, so that's on max brightness there. It's probably somewhere in the middle. Right, let's dive into some of the features on this microscope then. So I'm looking at this BIOS chip at the moment, and the microscope also has a digital zoom function. So should we try that out? Let's zoom in. 1. So as you see, the digital zoom works nicely. It's never going to be as clear as an optical zoom. Can we focus it to make it slightly better? But I think that's definitely good enough for a digital zoom. We can check each of these pins to make sure they're soldered. Let's adjust the lights a little bit, see if that makes a difference. Yeah, about there. Let's go up and down. Okay, so we can change the exposure as well. So let's see if we can get the white light. Okay, I've got the white light shining on that quite exposed now. So let's adjust the exposure and see what difference that makes. Okay, so that's making it more overexposed. So when we make the exposure down, it definitely helps with the image as well. Much clearer when the lights are shining really bright on it. So does it do auto exposure as well, or you have to do manual? It looks like manual on here. But as it stands with the bright lights, the default setting 0, it does look a bit washed out. So I'm going to go exposure and then knock it down. Let's do -2/3. I think that will give us a pretty good image. So I just realised you can't see the menu. Let me move over here. You can see that better now. So yeah, let me just show you. These are the exposure settings in here. And then we can go, yeah, let's put it to, what did we say? -2/3, okay. Our date stamp, you can turn that on and off. Maybe if you actually wanted to take a photograph. Sharpness, normal, strong or soft. Let's go soft sharpness. Can't see that makes a huge amount of difference. Strong for sharpness. Yeah, it doesn't seem to make too much difference to me. Freeze. I guess that just pauses the images. Yep. So we can take a still. Okay, you can mess around with the contrast, the colour as well. Oh, resolution. Did we check that? No. So yeah, we're on full HD 60. Or we could go up on a resolution if we wanted a higher resolution image, but we lose some of the FPS. So I know on my microscope I tend to want the higher FPS because as you're moving around on the board, you want to be able to see a nice smooth image. You don't want it to be choppy. We can increase it if we want to. Ultra high definition. Right, what I've done now is I've actually got both microscopes set up side by side. So this is my LCLIV microscope, and you can see what it looks like. And let me disable that one, and you can see what this one looks like, so we can get a direct comparison because the images are quite different. So have a look around here. We can see the brightness at the moment is a little bit darker on this one, but look at the chip, how you can read that with those side lights on there. If I switch back to my other one, and here is my microscope, as you can see, you've kind of got to like get the light that's shining down at an angle to be able to read that chip, and it does like come across like overexposed on there. If I put my hand around it, it just seems to reflect all of the light back on there. But the quality is nice, but I'm not sure. They're quite different images. Let me go back to this one. Should we do them side by side? Here we go. Here's the two images side by side. So tell me, which one do you prefer? Maybe let's zoom in a little bit more with the LINKMICRO, so it's the same. Looks a little bit more the same. Yeah, so you can see the difference on them here. Exactly the same board. At the moment, I think that the little LINKMICRO is actually winning. To work on it, I prefer that image. Just because of the lighting on there, it makes it a lot easier to see what you're doing. I don't like the overexposed. Just look at the word on there, that boot select. It's a much better colour representation as well, the green, compared to the washed out board here. So yeah, I'll leave that one up to you decide. So I'm super impressed with this, and it's just such a nice package. You could just, if you're not really doing it full time and you don't want the stand mounted on your desk, this is ideal because you could just pick that up and pop it on a shelf. All you've got is one USB cable to unplug, and then HDMI if you've got it connected to the computer. But yeah, the image is really nice on the screen. The screen itself as well, it's a 7-inch screen, and that is literally all you need. Mine feels a bit big with a 10-inch screen, to be honest. After using it, it gets in the way a little bit, so I kind of prefer the smaller screen. But the focus wheel is really nice. I'm not sure what else I can show you on this, other than the fact it does also come with the remote control as well. So instead of having to mess around pressing the buttons on the front here, you can just use the remote control. And also it means you're not bumping the microscope around in the image. So that's nice. I think the remote control has basically got exactly the same functions on there. You can zoom in and out with the digital zoom. You can also do the brightness up and down on here. You can change modes on there, and you've got these other buttons on here as well. So is that a rotate? Let me just check. Oh yeah, I've just popped some batteries in, and the remote control's actually really good. If I'm on the screen now, you can see in front of me I've got this button down here, and if I wanted to read that chip that you can see on there, if I press that, it just flips the image. How nice is that? Then I can zoom in even with a digital zoom if I wanted to, and we can get that part number now. Raspberry Pi 2-B2, 22nd to 25. So yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. And there's another button here, goes grayscale as well. Maybe that's useful. Might help you to identify something. I'm not sure. I'm having quite a fun playing with these features actually on this scope. Oh, look at that. You can invert it. That's nice. Pink. I'm sure that has some kind of use. So yeah, I don't really know what more to say about this microscope other than I really like it. It's compact, it does exactly what you want. Now, you do have these additional lenses. As I say, that's a feature I've not seen before, and they're interchangeable. So if you did want to look at something on more of a microscopic level, that seems to be what that one is for. And there are some, as I say, little samples included on here that you can look at in more detail if you wanted to. So that might be something to have a play around with. But for me, just looking at a circuit board, that's the right lens that I've got on here, and I've got quite a nice working distance between the bottom of the microscope and the plate, so I can solder in there, get in there, no issues at all. So yeah, hopefully you found this useful. I'm going to post the links that LINKMICRO have given me if you're interested to buy one of these microscopes. As I say, they are quite a reasonable price one compared to the other more expensive big 10-inch screens and the arms and everything. Having this little compact microscope on the stand is quite a nice budget option, but as you've seen from the quality of the image, you're getting a fantastic picture. So obviously it's a digital microscope, so you might not have the depth of view as you would with a stereo microscope or trinocular microscope, but for a digital microscope this is perfect. So yeah, if you've got any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I'll try and get round to answering those questions if I've still got the microscope. As I say, I've got somebody in mind to donate this one to, so we'll be going in the next week or so. So yeah, leave us a comment and I'll try and get to answer it, and hopefully on the next video we'll be back to another repair as well. So thanks for checking in, and yeah, hope everyone's okay, and we'll see you in the next one.